Raise your right hand, please. Mr. Rivera, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay.
All right. Good afternoon. Can you state your name for the record, sir?
My name is Rick Rivera.
And have you given a deposition before?
Yes, sir.
If just real quick, if you don't hear or understand any of my questions, please ask me to repeat it, and I'll be happy to. And please don't answer a question you don't understand, and please allow me to finish my question before you answer. Do you understand that, sir?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. If you need to take a break at any time or use the bathroom, please let me know, and I'll be happy to pause the deposition. Just so you know why we're here, I filed a records request for all records and documents related to any investigation done on me by you, and I do not believe that all the responsive documents have been provided to me by the city, so I'm trying to see if there are documents that haven't been given to me. Could you...
Back to form.
It wasn't a question. I was just making a statement to inform the witness.
I understand that because it wasn't a question, I objected to the form.
Okay. Mr. Rivera, can you provide a brief work history, including your investigative experience, sir?
Been a police officer for approximately 40 years. Out of that time, I worked at least 20-something years in narcotics investigation and other related investigations. After that, I was assigned to internal affairs, and that's when I retired from internal affairs.
And when did you retire from internal affairs?
December the 31st, 2020, a few months ago.
Okay. And I understand that you were a part-time investigator after your retirement. Is that correct?
Yes.
Can you tell us what division in the police department you were assigned to?
Internal affairs.
And who did you report to?
To the sergeant of the unit and directly to the chief of police.
And who would that be?
Chief Alexander Rowe, Jr.
You said that you reported directly to Chief Roll, or there was somebody in between you?
There's the sergeant of the unit of internal affairs, and the unit itself reported to the chief of police.
And who are those persons? The sergeant?
It depends on the time frame. We had several sergeants that were in the unit.
If we're talking, let's say, November 2016.
I cannot really tell you, but it was either Captain Garland Wright. It might have been also Commander Aquino. I can't remember who was during that period of time.
Okay. And when you had come back, I guess you reported to the sergeant and our chief role?
That's correct.
Okay. Let me see here. And when you were in IA, before you retired or after you came back after you retired, did the IA supervisor typically review your case reports and assign a final case disposition?
Object to form.
Objection noted. You can answer, sir.
It depends. It depends. The sergeant could review the investigation of the paperwork.
Is there any times where someone above you wouldn't review that paperwork?
Yeah, there could be instances where somebody above me will not review my my paperwork.
Okay. Could you describe like what situation would, or what set of factors could lead to a situation such as that?
There's no particular set of factors. It all depends on the case. If I'm doing an investigation on a complaint on an officer or something minor, I could just do the case and close it, send it back to the supervisor on the road to deal with that incident.
In IA, what IA is internal affairs?
That's correct.
And what is the role of IA?
To investigate.
I'm gonna just object generally here. This is a public records case, and Mr. McDonough, as you noted, it's with respect to. I'm going to complete my objection. The records request that's within the knowledge of Mr. Rivera is very limited, as you noted at the outset of this deposition. You're going beyond that. I'm going to give you a little bit of leeway, but I will object because you have a pending claim in the Southern District of Florida against Mr. Rivera directly, and I'm not going to allow this deposition to serve as your chance to get free discovery regarding your claims in the other case. So if you want to ask him questions about the investigation that's at issue with respect to the records that are relevant to your subject public records request, that's fine. But if you're going to go too far beyond that into the issues that dovetail into the other case, then we're going to have to stop, because you'll have to take that deposition another day in that case.
I have counsel in the other case, and if he wants to depose Mr. Rivera, that'll be up to him and whatever strategy he decides. I'm not using this to get pre-discovery on that. This is relevant. It's very relevant. I can explain myself, but I don't feel that I need to. You concern shouldn't be a worry. This should be a pretty short deposition. Unless you have privilege objections, I note it, but again, I'll want to get the answer, so I'll ask it again. Mr. Rivera, we'll skip that. I'll just go past that. Hold on a second. Mr. Rivera, as a police officer detective, you're trained in the proper use of state forms or report writing systems required to properly document incidents and criminal activity in Homestead. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Can you describe the basics of entering a report into the police records management system?
Internal affairs is a little different than the rest of the department. We have our own system for record keeping. It's all basic through the computer. I'm not too savvy with the computer systems and stuff like that. When I do a report, it goes to the sergeant. He reviews it, and either he sends it back to me or he'll approve the report.
Okay, when you start a report in the system, is some type of case number or tracking number automatically assigned to that case?
Well, if it's put in the system, yes.
Okay. And do we do reports and not put them in the system?
Object to form.
It depends on what you're investigating, or if you're doing a preliminary investigation. Not everything goes into the system.
If it was a criminal investigation, that would go into the system?
Yes.
Okay. And does the system used by Homestead Police Department automatically keep track of all documents, photos, video, miscellaneous attachments with the main report and supplemental reports in an organized fashion?
Object to form.
Like I stated before, I'm not a computer savvy person, so I'm not going to answer that because I don't know the answer.
But generally, I'm guessing, I'm trying to understand how this system works here. So you have a system that's on the computer, and you enter in, you start a case number is given, and you start entering things in there. If you attach a body cam or dash cam, or you have evidence or something else you put in there, that goes in the system as well?
Object to form.
There again, I'm not an IT guy. That question could be best asked to somebody who works in the IT department.
Okay. Generally, can you identify everything in a report by searching for the case number or incident number?
Yes.
Okay. Does the department have a policy regarding the use of records management system used for investigative reports?
I believe they.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, sir.
Can you repeat the question again?
Sure. Does the Homestead Police Department have a policy regarding the use of the records management system used for investigative reports?
Yes, they do.
Can you describe that policy to the best of your knowledge and understanding for us?
Well, like I said before, I'm not a computer savvy person. I know that when we do an official report, it gets transmitted to the supervisor. He reviews it. If there's any changes, it comes back to you so you can do the change, and then it goes back to the supervisor. From that point on, I don't know the particulars, where it goes, or if anybody else reviews it.
Okay, I really appreciate that, but I'm not sure. Maybe I didn't ask the question the right way. What I'm trying to ask is there a policy regarding whether you have to use the record management system or not?
Not that I'm aware. I really don't know.
Okay. So, do officers, detectives, and administrative staff have an option to bypass the central records and store their own reports away from the published custodial requirements of the department?
Check to form.
No, sir.
No, sir. So, any of the investigative materials and all that would have to be kept in some central place so it could comply with the records law and or any other reporting requirements?
No,
Check
sir.
to form.
Okay. Can you explain how the records department can track criminal cases an officer or detective creates and stores outside of the normal system? Or I guess we said that we don't store things outside of the system?
Check to form.
I'm not aware of how they maintain or keep that kind of record.
Okay. Is there ever a reason that you would not use the police department records management system to manage a criminal investigative report?
Yes.
And can you tell us the reasons or situations in that would happen?
There's several situations. Narcotics cases have their own system, especially active narcotic cases. Same thing with internal affair investigations. They have their own system where regular patrolman or anybody else cannot get access to it.
But that would still be within the records management system, just firewalled off from people who didn't have access, correct?
Check to form.
I'm aware.
Okay. If you were doing an investigation on me, is there a reason that it wouldn't be in the records management system?
I'm not going to answer that at this present time. That question should be for a later deposition.
Are you pleading the fifth, sir?
Well, let me put it this way: certify the question, and
You want to certify this question? Okay, that's fine. Do you know who the custodian of records or the person charged with the legal guardianship of criminal investigative reports for the Homestead Police Department is?
no, sir.
No, sir. Okay. According to documents I've been provided, I was under a criminal investigation. Would it be the policy and practice of the department to complete an offense incident report identifying the crime along with the location and other pertinent information as required by the state?
Object to form.
There again, I believe that I'm going to certify that question.
You want to certify that question? Okay.
Yeah.
I'd like to share my screen for a second. I want to show you something. Let me see if I can get this here. Can you see this document, sir?
Yes, sir.
Are you familiar with this document?
Yes.
And that's Homestead Police Department official letterhead there.
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me scroll down a little bit.
Can you maybe make the image a little smaller so we could see the whole thing on the
Sure.
on the screen? Or that's too maybe not that small. A little bit bigger.
I was going to blow it up a little bit to make it
Okay.
easier.
Okay.
Could you read this letter for us, sir, including the date?
Yeah. Could you scroll it? I can scroll it from my side
Sure.
and make it a little smaller because you're covering the date and everything else.
Okay. Well, you know what? Is that better?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay, it's November the 21st, 2016. You want me to read to who and everything, or just the
Please, if you don't mind.
Rec 7, Special Agent, U.S. Department of Commerce, Office of Inspector General, Office of Investigation. From Detective Rick Rivera, Professional Compliance Bureau. Subject James Eric McDowell. The Homestead Police Department is conducting a criminal investigation on James Eric. I'm officially requesting any and all material information on James Eric McDowell, including personal file, disciplinary files, and any information retrieved from the government-owned computer issued to James Eric McDowell related to the Homestead Police Department police officer information, whether personal or business related. Also, any information or other law enforcement agencies or any information related to adverse groups, to include emails, photos, and any other document.
Okay. And is that your signature there, sir?
Yes, sir.
You wrote this letter?
Yes, I did.
Oh, okay. And is there an official police report listing the crimes I may have committed?
During that period of time when this was done, you were arrested by the Homestead Police Department, so there was an official investigation done by all the officers during that period of time.
Okay, my last arrest was on September 1st, 2016. And this is November 21st, so 2.5 or more months later. You were investigating me for those arrests?
Objective form.
I was looking into the cases of your arrest, and actually those cases, and I don't remember when they were closed or anything, but those cases, as long as they're still open by the state attorney's office, it's still an open investigation.
Okay. And this letter did serve as your official FOIA to the United States government for information about me?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Are you going to mark that? Are you going to mark that as an exhibit?
Can we mark that as Exhibit 1, Sylvia? I'll
Yes.
send it to you when we're done. So you contact a special agent for the federal government. You inform him that I'm under a criminal investigation. You file an official FOIA request for information. And there's no report written for this?
Objective form.
No official police report written for this?
Objection.
Just that a request will suffice.
And was any of this information tagged to any of the other cases that were open?
Objective form.
I can't recall.
Okay. And if you had done a report and you didn't enter it into the system, how would someone, or like the custodial records, be able to find or retrieve that if somebody had filed a records request for it?
Objective form.
If there was an official report done, it would have been entered into the internal affairs system.
So internal affairs investigate civilians?
It's not just internal affairs. My job description was to investigate other assignments too, not just internal affairs, other investigations, other cases.
But you said it would be entered into the IA system. So even if you were working on something outside of IA, it would be in the IA system because you were in IA?
I believe so.
Okay. So would there be any place that would have a document that would state what the status of your investigation was?
Objective form.
Well, the only status that should be in there is just those other 3 arrests. The first or the second or third arrest, whichever one I piggyback.
Okay. Do you know what the status of that investigation is?
Check the form.
Is the investigation pending, or is it open, or closed, cleared?
There was really no investigation. You keep calling it an investigation, but there was no investigation other than those cases when you were arrested.
Well, here's my issue. I filed a request asking for all records related to any investigation done on me by you, and I get over 1,000 pages of records. And I get a report written that looks like it was written in a Word document. I have a letter where you're telling a federal law enforcement agent that you're conducting a criminal investigation and that you're officially asking for records. And I'm wondering how the custodian of records would ever be able to find this information when I file a request. A. B. I'm assuming it was an investigation because I asked for an investigation and I was given documents. If there was no investigation, I would assume they would have said no responsive documents.
Check the form.
And you said there was an investigation, so that's why I keep calling it an investigation. Are you saying there wasn't an investigation, or that you weren't investigating me?
It wasn't that I was investigating you. You were arrested, and at the same time you were suing the city as part of my job description. I was trying to gather all the information on you, whether it was personal, past litigations, or whatever you want to call it, on you.
And how did you come about getting assigned with this task?
It's in my job description.
It's in your job description. Did you decide to investigate me on your own volition?
No, sir.
Did Manager George Gretzis have any involvement with this investigation?
Object to form. Now I think we're going beyond the public record scope, and you're trying to get into issues that
I'm trying
that
to
have been
find out where
alleged
these
in your
records would exist at.
Well, no, you're asking who authorized or asked for an investigation, which goes into your allegations in your claim pending in the Southern District of Florida, and does not relate to whether or not you've been produced all responsive records. So I think you're going beyond the public records issues now. You're trying to get free discovery into the other case, and it's not appropriate in this case. Mr. Gretzis is represented by counsel in that case. His counsel is not here for this deposition.
I'll withdraw the question. Can you tell me, did anyone assign you to work on this case?
They again certify the question.
Same objection.
Okay. Is there a report available that would tell me the official status of your criminal investigation relating to me?
Object to form.
No.
If that case is open now, is there a document available to determine who has custody of that case?
No.
Object to form.
If the case is closed, shouldn't a full report be available in Central Records or in the custody of the Department Records custodian?
Object to form.
No.
What crime were you investigating me for?
I'll certify the question again.
And can you state what might have initiated the investigation?
Object to form. Same objection as my prior objection with respect to relevance to other pending litigation in the Southern District and the lack of relevance to the subject public records case.
Certify the question.
Who did you report to during this investigation?
Same objection.
Certify the question.
Well, I just want to note, if he had reported to somebody, there might be a record, which would be a record related to my case. I'm trying to determine if all records have been given to me. And Mr. Zeskind, with all due respect, I do feel that you're coaching my witness. I'd appreciate if you just make your objection. If it's not privileged, we can move along.
Not coach the witness once. I'm making objections, and if you want to ask questions regarding whether or not you've been produced all records, go right ahead. You mentioned that you've received thousands of them, so ask your questions.
Do you know roughly when you began investigating me?
No, sir. It was probably sometime right after your arrest.
Okay. And did your investigation end?
Yes.
Okay. Is there any reason you can think of or provide as to why none of the documents I have received have a case number associated with them?
That's a form.
It was an inquiry.
Can you explain what an inquiry is?
An inquiry is something that any investigator, before we actually do a criminal case, you could look into a person, look at the past history, what they've been involved, any lawsuits, any litigations, anything that that person has been involved in the past.
But is it correct that you didn't tell the special agent that there was an inquiry? You told the special agent that you were conducting a criminal investigation. That is correct?
That's correct.
Was your statement to the special agent inaccurate?
It was accurate.
It was accurate?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So we're agreeing that you were conducting a criminal investigation.
Object to form.
I agree. I mean, to that
I'm sorry,
I used the criminal investigation.
Mr. Rivera, I'm sorry. I missed that whole answer. It cut off.
Okay, you let me know when you're ready.
Go ahead.
I'm agreeing that when I altered that letter to the special agent, there was an active investigation reference your arrest. That led me to the inquiry after that point.
So an inquiry is not a criminal investigation.
It could lead to a criminal investigation.
But you were already conducting a criminal investigation.
Object to form. Are we going to continue to drift off into the issues that are relevant to your other pending litigation in the Southern District, or are we going to move forward with public records questions?
I'm trying to understand if there's records that have not been produced.
Right, so why don't you ask him about the records that you think haven't been produced rather than asking continuously over and over again whether or not there was an inquiry or an investigation?
So you did not pull a case number?
That's correct.
Did you write an official police report?
No, sir.
Was Chief Roll aware of this investigation?
Object to form, and same objection regarding other pending litigation. I believe Chief Roll is a party in that case as well.
I'd certify that question.
Okay. Did you investigate my wife as well?
Object to form. There's no relevance to that in this public records litigation. And she has a claim.
It absolutely does.
And she has a claim. She has a claim.
Mr. Zeskind.
I will finish my objection. She is a party in the pending case in the Southern District. None of your public records requests that are subject to this case make any reference to any investigation into her or just her generally. So,
if you would let me finish, you will understand why I'm asking the question, sir. Did you investigate my wife, Mr. Rivera?
Object. Same objection. It's
not privileged. You can answer the question, Mr. Rivera.
It's not privileged, but it has no relevance to this case, and you cannot.
Relevance is a form of objection, sir.
You
Stop
cannot
interrupting my deposition, please.
You do not get to do discovery in this case and get free discovery for your other pending case. You can take depositions regarding those issues in your other case where you have counsel, and they can take the deposition.
As part of your investigation into me, Mr. Rivera, did you investigate my wife?
Not that I recall.
So you did no investigation work on my wife whatsoever, never pulled any files or records on her or anything?
Same objection.
Looking at records and looking at files doesn't mean that I'm doing an investigation on her.
So if you're investigating me, and at the same time you pull records and files on my wife, that would be part of and related to your investigation on me. Is that correct?
That might have been just part of the inquiry.
Did you have any reason that you would inquiry my wife separately from me, sir?
You live in the same household together, you're married. Any good investigator is going to look at everybody that's related to that person.
So you looked at my wife as part of your investigation into me. Is that correct?
Object to form. Same objection.
If you had looked into my wife, it would have been part of your investigation into me if you did it at the same time you were investigating me. Would that be an accurate statement to make?
There again, certify the question. We're going off topic here, so I'm going to certify the question.
No, we're not going off topic here, sir. If you were investigating my wife as part of your investigation on me, and there were records that were produced, those records would be related and responsive to my requests. I believe there are records, and those records were not given to me. So it is very related to this, sir.
Like I said, certify the question.
You certify the question. Okay.
Yes, sir.
You didn't contact my wife's employer the way you contacted my employer, did you?
I don't recall.
Objection to form, same objection, not relevant to the public records issues in this case. And you're trying to get free discovery in this case of your claims and your wife's claims in the pending Southern District of Florida case. You can do your discovery there.
I'm sure we will, sir. I want to go ahead and share another document. Sylvia, we're going to call this Exhibit 2. Can you see this, Mr. Rivera?
Yes, sir, I can see it.
Is this familiar to you?
I believe so, yes.
Did you create this?
There again, sir, I'm going to certify the question that has nothing to do with public record information. Specifically, the case number that I got on the subpoena is completely different than what you're asking me here. So I'm going to certify any question that comes related other than case number 19-035962.
This is related to 19-035962, sir. This is a report based on the investigation you did on me. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And there's no case number tracking this. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Can you read the highlighted section for me, sir?
Objection to form and objection. If you want to ask him whether there are other documents that were part of the inquiry, then that is relevant. Asking about the records that have been produced to you to get testimony regarding your other claims.
This is going to lead in my next question.
Inappropriate.
Could you please read the paragraph for me, Mr. Rivera? That's highlighted.
Mr. McDonald obtained his PhD in organic chemistry from the University of Miami. He has wrote many articles in thermodynamics and kinetic studies and the breakdown of many chemicals. Mr. McDonald also wrote along with other chemists articles for the American Chemical Society. Mr. McDonald is well versed in chemicals that are considered potentially dangerous and explosive.
Can I ask you how you came across the information that I was well versed in chemicals known to be explosive?
Objection.
That was
Objection to form. Same objections as I've previously
It's
made.
related to records I don't believe were lawfully provided, so it's very related to this lawsuit.
Well, ask him about the records that you think
Were
you
there
weren't
any
provided them.
records that you found at any point in your investigation, or did you write down anything that would become a public record during your investigation that would have led you to believe that I was well versed in chemicals known to be explosive?
Object to form. Same objections as previously.
That information was obtained on the internet, online.
You obtained that information online.
Yes, sir.
Do you recall where online you obtained that information?
Same objection.
No, I don't recall.
Okay. Let me stop sharing this. And I want to bring up one more exhibit. And this we will call Exhibit 3. Can you see this, Mr. Rivera?
Yes, sir.
Do you recognize this document?
Yeah.
Were you provided this document by Special Agent Greg 7?
I believe so.
And this document is related to explosives, is that correct?
That's correct.
Would you like to change your answer about where you found out about me being versed in chemicals known to be explosive would come from being online to being from Special Agent Greg 7?
Object to form.
It was from this document, and I still stick to my previous answer. I also find other information online.
So it's your testimony today that there's evidence online that was available at this time in 2016 that described me as being a bomb maker or knowing explosives or anything like something to that effect?
No, sir.
Object to form. It's not what it. That's
No,
not
so
what the
there was
document
not,
said.
or there was.
Object to form again. That's not what the document said.
Yeah, that's the document. Then there's documents that I saw. Basically, what it was, it listed online different chemicals that you worked with before in the past. I believe I read a paper that you wrote for the University of Miami, and some of the chemicals there, when they were cross-referenced, they were used for, they were highly explosive and used for detonations and stuff like that.
Okay. And so it was what you found online in combination with this that led you to that belief?
That's correct.
Objection to form. And again, we're straying far afield from the public records issues that are relevant to this case.
Okay. All right. So just so I understand, and so that the record's clear, and that we're all on the same page, let me clarify some things. If someone calls Homestead Police Department and reports their bike was stolen, there would be a police report and a case number generated. Is that correct?
That's correct.
You were conducting a criminal investigation into me. Is that correct?
Object to form. It's asked and answered several times.
I want to make sure that is correct. You're not changing your testimony. So you had said correct earlier. We're going to say correct now. You have any problem with that or disagreements with that, sir?
No, sir.
Okay. The federal government informed you or provided you information that I had knowledge and or ability to make a bomb utilizing readily available materials such as aluminum and Teflon. Is that correct?
According to this paperwork, yes.
Okay. And you didn't think that was important enough to pull a case number and write an official report? Is that correct?
That's correct.
And is there any part of the testimony you've given today which you wish to retract, correct, or modify?
No, sir.
Okay. Thank you for your time, sir. I have no further questions.
He'll read.
Read.
I'll order.
All right.
Then we'll get a copy. City will get a copy.